Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brandon, and teaching with me today is my lovely co-teacher, Debbie.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
So,
Hey.
welcome to our class today, and this is for our evaluators. I'm going to show you what our lesson will cover for the day. Right, so the first thing that is up is knowledge. This lesson is divided up into knowledge, skills, and values. So in our knowledge section for today, we want students to know the difference between the causes and effects of world hunger. Secondly, we are going to focus on two sets of skills. Firstly, we want students to identify, and secondly, to recognize a cause and effect from an article. Number 3, values. We want students to feel empathy for the poor. We want them to understand what it is to be poor, even though they are not. And secondly, we want our students to value and appreciate their own life in Taiwan compared to children in very poor countries. So, let's begin. All right, so welcome to our lesson on world hunger, causes and effect. So, what is a cause? A cause is the reason why something is happening. How do we say that, class, in Chinese? Please follow Debbie.
原因是什么呢 ？Cause 就是为什么，就是这个事件会发生的原因。好。
Okay, and secondly, let's look at the definition of the word effect. An effect is about what is happening. Okay, let's read that in Chinese with Debbie.
好，刚刚有原因嘛，原因就会造成影响，所以我们就要探讨 effect。effect 就是关于正在发生的事情，这个原因造成现在的影响。
All right, so let's go into our next section, which will be a guessing section. So I'm going to put up 4 pictures, and I want you guys just to raise your hand and shout out the answer as the pictures appear. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, so here comes your first picture. Oops. Here comes your first picture. Here we go. What is this?
Whoa. Very
When you
dry.
see a picture like that, everything is very dry. There's no life there. This is basically what is referred to as a drought. Okay. Picture number 2. But before we go on, Debbie teacher, what is the word for drought?
干旱、旱灾，像台湾前阵子 we have droughts, yeah, just the other days, 对不对？没有水 no water.
Correct. So as you can see, this is one of the causes of world hunger, drought. Okay. So the second picture, are you ready? Here we go. Boom. Can anybody please tell me what that picture represents? Ah, you guessed correctly. It has to do with flooding. Okay, Debbie, what is the Chinese word for flooding?
就是淹水、洪水。
洪水。
对 just like you know, Taiwan, there was there was much rain just last week, so some places are flooded. 对，有些地方就淹水了，就像这样子 flooding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the second cause that we've come across today is flooding. Everybody please repeat the word in English.
Flooding.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good job. Number 3. What do you think this picture represents? Aha, you've guessed it. It's war. War. The Chinese word for war is?
战争
Okay,
内战
right.
war, yeah.
So this is also a major cause of world hunger. When there's war, it's almost impossible to feed the people because money is spent on warfare, things like tanks and bullets and guns instead of food. All right, so that is not a good thing to have during that time. Right, and number 4, can anybody guess the picture? What do you think that cause could be? All right, you've guessed it. Number 4, it's poverty.
Poverty 贫穷，太穷了，没办法买食物啊，对不对？
All right, so we've learned 4 things so far about the kind of causes representing world hunger. So the first one is drought. Please repeat the word drought.
Drought.
Thank you. Number 2, flooding.
Flooding.
Thank
Flooding.
you. Number 3, war.
War.
And number 4, poverty.
Poverty.
All right, so we
Poverty.
are going to go into our next phase, which will be all about examples of the causes on hunger. We have just looked at some of these examples, and now we're just going to express it more deeper. Okay. Right, so as you can see, there are a bunch of pictures, and here comes the explanation. So the first picture, the top part of the picture, which is this one here.
Take it.
That's right.
Top
Thank you,
part.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yep.
Okay, so that deals with extreme poverty. Debbie, teacher, what is
Yeah.
extreme? The
Wow.
word extreme?
Extreme 就是非常的极端的贫穷，那不是只有没有钱哦，是真的很贫乏、贫困哦。Extreme.
Thank you. Right, so we have extreme poverty, followed by a little sentence that goes with that heading, which says that it is a lack of resources to grow or to buy food. So it may be a lack of resources for farming to create more crops, or secondly, there may not be enough money to buy the actual food. All right, and number 2, climate change. All right,
Climate change, like
everybody
stew.
please repeat the word climate change.
Climate change.
Okay,
Climate change.
so who of you can tell me what climate change is? Ah, thank you, Ricky. Good job. Okay, so climate change. Right, so causes more droughts, climate change causes more flooding, and tropical storms destroy the crops. So those are 3 types of climate changes. Number 1 is droughts, 2 flooding, and 3 tropical storms. Debbie, can you tell us what is a tropical storm?
好 ，tropical storm 就像最近台风，现在台风是不是越来越对？台风可能变少，但是会来袭击我们。台风其实是越来越强烈，所以你会发现哦，不然就是 droughts， 不然就是很干很干，不然就是 flooding， 不然就是很多雨量太多。现在的极端气候也会造成我们的粮食欠收。
Okay, thank you so much, Debbie. And let's go on to the next point, which is point number 3, war. So food cannot be imported anymore when a neighboring country or any particular country is experiencing a time of war. It's almost impossible for food to be imported into the country because of the danger that surrounds that country. Okay? And also during a time of war, food prices actually go up.
Yeah, right.
So other countries are actually exploiting the poorer country during that specific time. All right, maybe Debbie can explain that
Yeah.
section for us.
好像 imported 就是进口，如果战争的时候，大家就会关闭边境嘛，因为当然会有危险。好，那没有食物啦，没有食物，价格就上涨啦。所以我们虽然说，以前1袋米可能是100，现在可能就要变200、300。好，所以战争也会影响。OK。
Thank you, Debbie. Right. So as you can see in the picture there, a house has been destroyed. So these people absolutely have become homeless now.
Yeah.
So they've lost all their belongings. Everything has been covered in dirt and rocks and whatever else. And it's almost going to be very, very impossible to actually get the amount of food that is needed for them to eat. All right, and then number 4, inflation.
Yeah.
Debbie teacher, inflation. What's
哇，
the
这
word?
个是很重要的字，通货膨胀 ，inflation。好
Okay.
通货膨胀。
So every single year, food prices go up, right? So that people cannot buy enough food because their salaries are only going up this much. But inflation rises higher sometimes than the salary increase. Okay, if you can explain that for us,
Oh,
please.
okay.
Thank you.
好，这个就像我可以举一下我自己的例子。我高中的时候，一杯珍珠奶茶是20块钱， 但是呢，现在啊，譬如20年后，一杯珍珠奶茶变60块，所以你赚一样的钱，但是食物的价格在上涨，这叫通货膨胀。你一样的钱，但是买不到现在的食物了。
Okay, thank you so much. So here's a picture of a woman who was able to buy 3 bags of food for a certain amount of US dollars. That was 2019. Now look at the same woman using the same amount of money in 2021. How many bags do you see in the picture now?
1.
Only 1.
Yeah.
That's correct. So she's moved down from 3 bags in 2019 to only 1 bag in 2021. This is what is meant by inflation. All right, so one more time, please. Everybody, please repeat the word inflation.
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 Inflation. Okay.
Thank
Inflation.
you.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? No questions. Great. Smart class. Right. Let's go on to some examples of effects on hunger. All right. So, here comes the first effect, which is sickness and disease. This is what happens when people go hungry for a long time. People get sick and diseases start to happen. And during this time, do you know that people don't heal?
Yeah, because the body, the immune system doesn't work.
That's right. Correct. So because the immune system isn't working, the sicknesses and the diseases don't really go away. Okay. And in some extreme cases, people have this extreme fatigue, this tiredness, and death.
So they
also
cannot
sets
work.
in. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So here we have a picture of a boy. And there we have pictures of some sick kids, the top
Sick
2
kids.
pictures.
Sick kids. And a boy.
Okay. And number 2, when people are not eating properly, they have what is called stunted growth. Please repeat this, stunted growth.
Stunted growth.
Okay, one more time, please.
Stunted growth.
What is stunted growth? Well, it's children who don't grow properly. They are very old, but their bodies are very small. So, in this picture over here, we have a picture of a little boy who's actually 12 years old. Okay, let me just go back again.
Yeah.
So the boy is actually 12 years old, and because he was suffering from extreme hunger and starvation, his body really didn't develop. Okay, Debbie.
好，大家看一下第一个，你会说，这个 hunger 饥饿会造成什么？第一个，疾病跟贫穷，疾病跟生病，因为你饿很久啊，身体的免疫系统都不能，对吧？伤口很久都不会愈合，好，然后你就会长期的倦怠，你也没有工作力，然后可能会死亡嘛。那第二个就是生长迟缓，发展迟缓。大家看这个小男孩哦，他已经12岁了，可是看起来好像6、7岁，对不对？因为他的身体不会长 ，stop growing。OK。
Okay, so one more time, please. Stunted growth.
Stunted growth.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. So, as we move on, the third point now. What is the third effect or possible effect of children who are having extreme hunger? It is malnutrition.
Okay. Malnutrition.
Okay.
Malnutrition.
Malnutrition. Thank you for repeating that after Debbie.
Yeah.
And then, what does that mean? Okay, I'll ask Debbie to read for you.
Okay. Not getting the right nutrients.
Okay.
Okay. Not getting the right nutrients.
All
没有
right.
营养不足，营养不良。Okay.
Thank you, Debbie. And then let's move on to a picture.
Wow.
This is a picture of a little boy who is not getting the
So.
right nutrients. What do you think he is eating?
Well, I'm not sure. Trash or garbage?
Exactly.
Garbage.
It looks like garbage.
Yeah.
Leftovers
Yeah.
that's been in a bag for many, many weeks or so on, okay? So that boy in that picture is not getting the right meals at all. There's no freshness about that That's
Yeah.
old, that's stale, there's a lot of bacteria
Right.
on it. So that is not the right nutrients.
Right.
Okay.
So，它就是刚刚有说营养不良嘛，刚刚除了说你吃不够之外，营养也不良。那吃了这些，可能这就是已经败坏、腐坏的食物之后，你当然长不高，而且你还可能容易生病。OK，
Right. Let's move on to number 4, the last one. In extreme hunger, people eventually just die.
嗯，
So here we've got a boy who's almost close to death.
哇，哇，酷
So this is something that we should always try and avoid.
Yeah.
Remember we spoke about empathy. Empathy is the understanding to feel what others feel. So when you look at this picture, I hope that you are able to feel what others are feeling when we see pictures like these. This is something that must not happen under our watch. Okay?
OK， 来第4个啊，当然最终极，真的贫穷到极致哦，就会造成死亡，所以大家会听说饿死很多人，像这一个图片中的人。那今天 Brandon 希望大家要有 empathy， 要有同理心，你可以看到这个，然后设身处地。因为在现在这个世代，像我们在台湾真的很幸福，大家其实都是食物都是过剩。那你可能没有办法想象，现在居然还有这样子的。那我们这一次的课程就是希望大家来了解饥饿，然后我们可以去来解决饥饿这件事。
Thank you, Debbie. Okay. Right. So I'm going to have Debbie explain to us the next part of the lesson, which is to recognize and identify a cause and an effect from an article.
嗯哼。
Okay.
好，来，那就是之后呢，就是我们同学都要自己做一份研究嘛，要收藏。那你要去读文章的时候，你要去判别什么是原因，什么是问题。那我们接下来会带大家来读一下，好 ，OK？
Right. And so how are we going to do this? We are simply going to mark all the causes in red and all the effects in blue from the article. And then you're going to copy the answers into the table which was provided for you before this class began. So you have your worksheet,
Yeah.
which is blank, with you. And while you are watching, please listen to Debbie's explanation, and then you can tabulate what a cause is and what an effect is. Thank you, Debbie.
好 ，OK。那待会啊，我们就是那篇文章，大家手边都有学习单 ，Brandon 他已经做好的那 cause and effect 学习单。那我们待会读的文章呢，请大家把红色的部分，好，红色的部分是原因，蓝色的部分是结果，那把它填到原因跟结果栏去，这是一种练习。那大家经过这次练习之后，然后我们回去大家个别去做search 的时候，你就知道要怎么做了。OK。
Okay, so thank you so much.
好
Okay,
这就是学习单，对，好。
thank you so much for doing that. This is your cause and effect table just for the evaluators. We have this worksheet, and on the left side we have the cause, and on the right side we have the effect. So our students will then obviously use Debbie's method of recognizing and identifying a cause and an effect. So thank you so much for doing that, students.
好
Okay, right.
OK next you think
Okay, so here comes the reading article. Thank you, Debbie.
OK article 好，大家看一下啊，这是粮食不均报告。那这个啊，可能就跟同学有时候 search 你们可能是新闻，那这是一个 study。那我们来看，假如说你是有收集到一个科学报告的话，那我们就从这一段开始，好不好？好，因为其他的大家就自己阅读。好，来，他这边呢，他有说证明了今天的他呀前两段他有在计算啊，我们全世界的。我们现在都会说，粮食的产量是够的，是怎么算的？它是把全球的产量，然后再除以，就是除以每个人需要的卡路里，其实是发生过剩的，所以我们才会说，粮食是够。那为什么还是有这么多人是饥饿的呢？好，来，所以他会说是什么导致了目前粮食危机？来看政治及经济， 大家看红色字，政治跟经济。那政治经济的部分，政治我觉得就像刚刚的内战，好，无形的控制了全球的粮食体系，来渐渐加剧，结果就会贫国饥，富国饱，穷的国家越穷，穷的国家越来越没饭吃啊，但是有钱的国家是不是都吃不完很多剩食，对不对？好像人类推向饥饿跟肥胖，你知道不是大家就是太饿，不然就是太胖。像我们台湾人最近都要我们要注意有没有三高啊，对不对？好来，那不管是开发中或已开发的国家里，贫穷又来了，贫穷是一个原因，土地分配不均，好，又另外一个，土地分配不均是造成饥饿的主要因素。好，那因为呢，贫穷的人当然就没有购买力或生产力，所以他就会说贫穷导致购买力不足、生产力不足。好，那因为当然就是土地，当然就是被少数人掌握啦，所以就没有可以耕作了。OK。
Okay. Right. Thank you so much, Debbie. So what we're going to do is we're going to just ask you quickly from this explanation. Let's just review. I'm going to ask you quickly. Can you please raise your hand and please name one cause that you have found inside of this article? Okay, thank you, Misty. Well done. That is a cause. That's correct.
Yeah.
And who can name one effect for us? Thank you, Sean. Well done. Excellent. So that is your cause and that is your effect from this reading article. And now, students, please make sure that you have written down all the causes from this article and the effects on the other side. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to go back. Okay, right. So on your cause and effect worksheet, you must have finished by now. So Debbie teacher is going to go around and check, and I will also go around and check. Okay, so thank you for writing your answers in both Chinese and English. Okay. Thank you for trying to write it in English, and we're going to check together now. Okay, thank you. Great. So your task today is, please go ahead and find an article on hunger in a chosen country. So Debbie has given you guys 12 countries, 12 of the poorest countries in the world. We are asking you to just find one article, okay? Right. And then in the worksheet, write down all the causes and all the effects in each column, just like we did in class today. All right. Okay, Debbie.
好，来，所以呢，老师有给你们12个目标国家，大家可以去选一个你想要帮助的国家去探讨他们的原因。所以第一个是看那个 Gray Box， 就是 Find an article， 那你要去上网去搜寻哦。好，那接下来呢，在你的学习单里面，把它先找出问题 causes， 就是它原因，为什么他们国家，譬如说菲律宾为什么贫穷？那这个贫穷到底造成了什么样的影响 ？effects。好。
Okay, so in our next class, before we get to that, this is the new worksheet. So this is like an outline of a different organogram, which is on cause and effect and hunger in Southeast Asian. Okay, so please use this one now, okay, as your second organogram. And thank you so much. And we are really looking forward to having a nice discussion in our next class, Debbie.
Okay.
I'm really interested to see what the students have actually highlighted and found, what they've identified as a cause and effect, and how they've recognized it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure that students can do a well research, good research on that, and we can share their worksheet next time. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so that's the end of our lesson. Our next lesson, we will deal with some solutions to world hunger.
Yeah.
And I will present my organization that I started together with my wife in the Philippines 7 years ago. So that's coming up in the next lesson. All right. And then we will also have a class discussion about what is done in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Right, but for today, thank you so much for joining us. This is Debbie Teacher. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, your co-teaching today. Really awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Thank you, Brandon, for sharing so much things. 那我们在下一堂课啊，今天大家是不是做了这个 research？ 那下一堂课我们会来看 Brandon 他自己跟他太太在菲律宾所做的一个 BBIM 的慈善机构，就是他们是真的有在做人道援助哦，就是帮助那边的家庭。那他其实有做了一系列的简报，是很精彩的。好，那我们在下一堂课呢，会检讨大家的学习单，然后再来看一下他是怎么样进行他的救援计划。Okay, thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Debbie Teacher, and thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gao.
Okay.
Thank you.
谢谢高超。